Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the recommendations portion of the last video which you saw. Not the last video technically, but last Wednesday. The video that you saw, which was like my active ingredient guide. I tell you which active ingredient is specifically meant for what purpose, and like those are the specific active ingredients you need to use only and only if you have that specific skin concern which you're trying to treat, or rather, let's go the other way around. If you have a specific skin concern, what is the right active ingredient for you to use? No one needs to use every single active ingredient that is out there, including me also. So I am just focusing on the ones that I have personal experience with, and I'm telling you what they're going to help with. So today's video is going to be the recommendations portion, so like the more interesting fun one, because we have product recommendations to talk about. Also, just a quick spoiler, I'm noticing my eye look, and in case you're wondering why I'm wearing this bold and colorful eyeshadow, that's because I actually just came from a wedding. So I didn't want to take my makeup off. I thought, you know what, let me just change my top, get out of the lehenga, and just continue to film some content for you guys. So that's the only reason you're seeing me in a more brighter, bolder eye look. But any which ways, let's get into the product recommendations. Let's talk some skincare and let's get right into it. So starting with first, we have vitamin C. Now I have tried out a lot of different vitamin C serums out there in the market, and most of them are just great antioxidants. That being said, the ones which are kind of my favorite, the best ones out of everything that is available in the market, I have two to share with you. The first one is the Plum Vitamin C Serum. This one has such a beautiful watery texture and consistency. I absolutely love how lightweight it is on the skin. Even if you have super oily skin, it's like literally putting water on your face. It's very, very lightweight, gel-like, just super duper lightweight on the skin. So I feel like that will work for all skin types essentially. And then another one which I also like, this one is a little bit more like dry skin friendly, because it's got a more oilier consistency. That being said, I still think it would work for people who have oily normal skin, but if you have super oily skin, probably go for the Plum one. But for dry skin people, the Minimalist 10% Vitamin C Serum is a great recommendation. It's one that I currently have in my collection as well, and I cannot wait to get into it because it's been a while since I have used it personally. So I'm excited to get into my bottle as well and use it. But yes, that was the two best serums. If I had to tell you in the vitamin C arena, basically it would be these two. So depending on your skin type, you can decide which one you want to get. Moving on, next let's talk about niacinamide serums. And I just want to let you know, there are a lot of new niacinamide serums which are coming out, but it doesn't mean that you have to try out every single new one unless and until you want to, unless and until you love trying out new brands. That's completely okay. But a lot of times I get these questions: what's the best niacinamide serum in the market, which is the best brand, which is the best one? And my answer to that is, most of them, if not all of them, are basically very, very similar to each other. So if you have tried one, you've pretty much tried them all. That's just how I feel. After trying out so many different brands and so many different niacinamide serums, I think pretty much all of them are like more or less the same. So you can definitely pick and choose from your favorite brand and try it out. And if it doesn't work, then maybe try out another one. You're most likely gonna find one that you're gonna like. That's what I would say. But if you had to personally ask me which is the best one out of like everything that's available in the market, I would say there are two which I absolutely love. They both come from the same brand. That is like a complete coincidence basically. But the Plum 5% niacinamide serum is the water-based one, and this one I would say is more suitable for people who have normal combination oily skin. And then their 10% version is more of a milkier serum, so that one I feel like is suitable for normal leaning drier skin type. So for me personally, I use both of them. It just depends on what time of the year we are in. If you're in the summer, in the monsoon season, I'll use the 5%, and if you're in the winter season, I'll use the 10% one. So these two are my personal favorites, the ones that I've repurchased the most after trying out various different brands that are out there in the market. And I'm sure that there are a lot of other great ones which are pretty similar to these, because again, like I said, they're not that different from each other. And I also constantly get comments that please review this brand of niacinamide, please review that brand of niacinamide. I would love to, you guys. It's just that my review is going to be just like this, you know. I'm pretty sure that they're all the same. So it takes a lot for me to get wowed by a new niacinamide serum, and that's most likely not going to happen. I even tried out the Foxtale one and it was okay. It was actually a little bit disappointing because in my mind I thought it was going to be absolutely amazing, but I'll talk about like that in a different video and probably review it. But yeah, that one was a little bit underwhelming, to be honest. And also want to quickly talk about the Minimalist niacinamide serums as well. Those are also really great. Their 10%, which I used to love earlier, has now been reformulated. It's got something called matte marine extract or something like that, which I haven't tried, but the 5% one is also really good for oily skin. So in case you don't want to get the one from Plum, you can also get the Minimalist one. I know that one is also very popular, so I just thought to throw it out there. But me personally, I tend to repurchase the Plum one more, not so much the Minimalist one, and that's not because of the product efficacy or anything. It's just that with the Plum one I can get my rewards, I can save some money, whereas Minimalist doesn't go on offer that often. So that's the only reason I prefer Plum over Minimalist. Let's move on next to our AHA category. Now for AHA, I mostly go in the toner route. I rarely go in the serum route. I do have one serum recommendation though, but let's start with the toner recommendations. So I would say, for me personally, I have 3. They're all very similar to each other, so you can choose one depending on the price point, depending on which brands you like, and which is more available, accessible to you. We have the Pixi Glow Tonic, which is a tried and true holy grail. I actually think it is like worth the money, even though it's a little bit more expensive. That being said, there are definitely more affordable ones that I have discovered in like more recent years, so that's the reason I haven't repurchased the Pixi Glow Tonic. I also really like the Cosrx AHA 7% liquid. If you're into K-beauty but you still want something that is like, usually K-beauty products are just hydrating and moisturizing, but if you want something that's got like a power packed active ingredient, the 7% AHA liquid from Cosrx is amazing. But then if you want something from an Indian brand, something that's more affordable, accessible, easy to buy, definitely go ahead and check out the Minimalist Glycolic Acid Toning Solution. And to compete with that, we have another drugstore affordable, not drugstore, but like affordable, around 500 rupee price point product, which is the Dermaco Glycolic Acid exfoliating liquid, whatever the name of that one is. So in present day, I actually got my order just yesterday, and I did use it last night as well, so that's the reason I'm even talking about it, otherwise I would not have spoken about it. I think the Dermaco is very, very similar to the Minimalist, just first impressions basis. So yes, I'll probably try to leave a note in the description of this video, because I know this video is again being pre-filmed, so by the time this video goes up, if I have more in-depth thoughts on the Dermaco one, I will let you know. And you'll probably also see a video on the Dermaco new launches, which I'm like in the process of trying out, so like stay tuned for that one. But yes, these are all great toners with AHAs. If you have oily skin, you can still use them even if you have dry skin, but if you have more like dry skin, I would also recommend Foxtale's Diva. This is called a overnight glow mask, but I don't think it's a mask. I just think it's like a thick serum balm kind of a consistency and product, and this is something I've been recommending to a lot of my friends who have more dry skin, and they have been seeming to really love it. So that's the reason why I'm recommending this to you. And even though I have combination normalish skin, I still use it and love it as well. It's not something I use very regularly. That being said, I do think you can use this twice a week, thrice in a week, something like that. So it's not like a super harsh exfoliant, or it's not got a very high percentage where you cannot use it very regularly. So yeah, the frequency would completely depend on whether you're an advanced user or you're a beginner, etc. Moving on, next let's talk about BHAs. Now similar to what I said about niacinamide serums, I think I'm going to say the same thing for salicylic acid serums as well. They are all pretty much the same. I don't think there is a big difference in you know, the effectiveness or the efficacy. The only thing I would say is that if you have acne prone skin, don't think that salicylic acid is a one-stop solution. I feel like that is a mistake which I made, thinking that salicylic acid is a one-stop solution. I don't think it is, but I do think it's something you can regularly incorporate in your routine if you have acne prone skin in general. And if I was not using a retinol, I would probably be using a salicylic acid serum every single night, because I do have acne prone skin. That being said, I don't regularly break out either, so just keep that in mind. And if I had to give you a recommendation, I would say the Minimalist 2% salicylic acid serum is a great one for oily skin. Unfortunately, I don't have a dry skin recommendation for BHAs and salicylic acid, but I also feel like there are very few people who have dry skin and look for a salicylic acid serum. I don't think that there's no one. I do think that even dry skin people can have acne. I'm just not sure whether salicylic acid would help people who have dry skin and acne. So yes, that being said, any salicylic acid serum would work for you. So again, go for the brand you love, go for the brand you regularly purchase from, and just add a salicylic acid from them in your cart and check out, and you're most likely going to have the same experience you would with any other salicylic acid serum. Moving on, next let's talk about Kojic Acid. Now for Kojic Acid, I do have multiple recommendations. That being said, I don't prefer one over the other. I think all these three are kind of the same. The price point is the same, so you can decide which one you want to buy based on which brand you're ordering from. Just buy the product from them, I would say personally. So we have Dr. Sheths and we have Dermaco. Both these brands have Kojic Acid creams / gels. So Dermaco has two actually. They have a Kojic Acid gel. Also they have a Kojic Acid cream. And Dr. Sheths has their Kesar and Kojic Acid pigmentation cream. All these three are basically the same thing, just a little bit different in terms of the texture and consistency. So if we had to go from thinnest to thickest, or least like most lightweight to most heavy, I would say the lightest basically is the Kojic Acid gel from Dermaco. Then we have the Dr. Sheths Kesar and Kojic Acid pigmentation cream, and then the thickest in consistency would be the Kojic Acid cream from Dermaco. So that is kind of the order. I would say they work in terms of the consistency. So usually what I tend to do is I just purchase the Kojic Acid gel. Even though it says gel, it's actually a lighter weight cream, so it's not like a silicone gel. If that's what you're going to expect, you'll probably be a little bit disappointed, so let me tell you that. But yes, you can buy any of them. It's going to be totally fine, and it's going to give you basically the same results. Also, when I talk about these three products or any of these three products, I always get asked, does this actually work with my hyperpigmentation? And my answer is always yes, it's going to actually work with your hyperpigmentation. That being said, you also have to give it time. I would say by the time you use up an entire bottle of this, you will notice some amount of improvement. It's not going to completely go away. It also depends on how much hyperpigmentation you have. If you have one spot or just a few spots, it's going to be faster in terms of getting rid. But if you have a lot of hyperpigmentation, it's going to take more time. So it's not like you're just going to use it for a couple of days and it's going to completely get rid of your hyperpigmentation. I don't think it works like that. So yes, do keep that in mind. I think we all need to have reasonable expectations and not expect something to just miraculously change your life. That being said, let's quickly also talk about alpha arbutin. Now in my experience personally, if you asked me whether Kojic Acid is better or alpha arbutin is better, I would say Kojic Acid, also in terms of these specific products. That being said, just like I feel vitamin C didn't work for me, but I know vitamin C does work for some other people. Similarly, there might be a chance that Kojic Acid doesn't work for you, but alpha arbutin does. So I still wanted to recommend alpha arbutin products while I can, and I would recommend the Minimalist alpha arbutin serum. It's got 2% alpha arbutin, and this is the only one that I have tried, to be very honest. So that's why I can recommend it to you, and I know that you're again going to notice results with it. It's just not going to be as fast as Kojic Acid in my personal opinion, and that's my personal anecdotal experience as well, but it could be totally different for you. So keep all those factors in mind. We're not all the same. So yes, that's the only alpha arbutin recommendation that I have for you. let's move on next and talk about our last active ingredient, which is retinol. Now for again retinol, I have multiple recommendations, few for dry skin and then one for oily skin people, whereas I feel like the oily skin recommendation would also work for dry skin, and I'm speaking about the Foxtale retinol. You guys know this is like my holy grail product. I talk about it very often, and I also repurchase this very often, because obviously I use it every single day, so I go through it and then I constantly keep repurchasing it. So you've seen this multiple times in my hauls, in my empties, in my skincare routine, in my nighttime skincare, etc. And this is my favorite. In fact, not just my favorite, it's also my mom's favorite. So if you're wondering why do we constantly keep repurchasing it, because whenever I buy it, she and I both use it, so we also go through it twice as quickly in this household. But yes, that is our personal favorite retinol, which is from Foxtale. I also have two other recommendations. These are more milky, so it's not my personal favorite, but I do think it will work well if you have dry skin. So we have the Key Retinol Serum, which is also a great one, and we also have the Minimalist Granactive Retinoid, which is also a great one. So these two are more milky, thicker, slightly heavier, whereas the Foxtale one, even though it has a creamy consistency, it's a very lightweight, airy, thin cream. So that's why I feel like it will work for you even if you have oily skin. So yes, that was it. Those were all the recommendations that I had for you from various different categories in terms of active ingredients. And I really hope that the guide which I mentioned earlier, which I will link that video down below in case you haven't watched it. In that I talk about which active ingredient is good for what skin concern, and then because that video was already getting super long, I decided to do a second video instead of, you know, compiling the two together and doing everything in one video. So this is your recommendations guide, which I hope was helpful for you. If you have any recommendations of like products with active ingredients, it could be any active ingredient, please list that down below, and also list what your skin type is. I'm sure that not just my recommendations but other people and their recommendations would also help everyone who is watching this video, who is reading the comments. And yes, that is it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I know that these videos have been highly requested, and now I know that anytime I get a question related to any active ingredient or any skin concern, I'm just going to list and link these videos for you guys, so you can go ahead and watch it and hopefully get some value out of it. So yes, thank you so much for watching, you guys. Until next time, bye.